so that we can proceed. All right. So today we are going to be taking a look at a little bit deeper what this challenge is going to be about. And the areas of focus that we're going to be looking at are going to be all the areas of what is alchemical transmutation. What does that involve? And we want to actually access many of the systems that allow us to transmute from the lowest to the highest form. And how we're going to do that is by understanding the physical, the psychological, the emotional, the energetic, vibrational frequency of the body. And essentially, we want to allow ourselves and train ourselves to come into our highest expression and become a conduit of that transmutation process, to become a conduit of life force, the biggest conduit of life force that we can. And I've done many, many challenges before that have looked at the emotional element of this. I go really in depth into those emotional practices, emotional mastery. And really, it really is about how we are processing our everyday experience. So when we talk about alchemy, the alchemization means that we're looking at the processes from the solidification of something into something that changes, that transmutes its state from form to its highest vibration. And its highest vibrational state will be something that is more fluid, less physical. So we're going from a crystallized state into a highest vibrational frequency. And this earth experience, this life experience is really what that is all about. Every human that comes into a physical crystallization of a body is meant to experience an entire life of many different experiences that allow the soul and the greater universe as a whole to learn and experience through your one experience of your life. And the process of embodiment, of coming into the physical body, is actually many systems are coming into play. We are connecting to the different systems of the ancestral DNA lineage of the physical body, which is basically when we come into the physical body, we are binding to the matrix. We are experiencing and enmeshing into the matrix through our genetic DNA. And the DNA allows for that information to cycle. That information is cycled data that we are coming into. Now, I mentioned this before, but we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this today, about how the reincarnation cycle works, a kind of overview, because we need to understand that in order to understand how we are co-creating. Today, we're going to take a look at the mechanics of co-creation, and we're going to learn how to activate the seventh and eighth chakra, which are the key chakras of the transmutation process of the higher body, the non-physical into the physical. And it is really important to understand how to utilize the eighth and seventh chakra, because that is the key to really changing and beginning to shift your life experience. So let's begin in the reincarnation cycle. When we embody into the physical vessel, we are literally coming into this human body that is created by the cells, the mutation of the cells, the splitting of the cells that create this incredibly complex organism. But the database of information that encodes all of the cells and the function and the information of this is part of a greater network of information, which is the morphogenetic field. And the morphogenetic field is an incredible, intelligent, self-organizing system that creates the form of through vibrational frequency. It is a crystallization process in itself of information that creates what we know as the matrix. The world in itself, within the universe, within the multiverse, has this same self-organizing network of consciousness that it exists within. And the morphogenetic field is what we come into form into. We exist in that. It surrounds us. It is part of our body. It interconnects us to the whole. Yesterday, we talked about the violet light. and this frequency that interconnects all these systems, because that is the vibrational frequency that literally is in our DNA, and it connects the human body through this frequency to the whole. It is a channel and conduit of life force that can come into the body, and it can be very programmable, okay, incredibly programmable, just like our physical DNA. Our DNA can be programmed to do whatever we need to do in order to create proteins and an output. And all the organisms in this world are made of these systems of DNA, the base code of DNA. So that being said, this incredible base code of DNA holds within it information of not only how we are going to exist, how we are going to embody the experiences that we're going to have in our lives, and how we're going to co-create, or how the journey will be of co-creation. And there is another element that kind of overlaps over this incarnation, and it's how we choose to come into the specific families and bodies that we come into. And that network is really an intelligent self-organizing system that collectively creates a balance on this organism that we call Earth. Every human that incarnates into the body plays a very unique and important vibrational frequency to maintain the balance at the whole. There is nothing that leaves or comes in without purpose, without maintaining that balance. So that's really, really important, because if we don't have something that comes into in this collective that maintains balance, you know, it'll adjust. It'll adjust. The entire system will adjust. So the idea that we are working with mostly parasitism on this in this matrix is actually a belief system. There is a way of shifting that through the internal perception, and I will show you how to do that, because that's the whole point of the alchemical process, in transmuting your lowest expression into the highest expression. So we come into the families that we are going to be born into by resonance. And resonance is the vibrational signature of yourself and what you need, what you require in order to learn the lessons, the experiences, to come into your ascension, which means that you're again transmuting from the lowest to the highest. So the families that we come into are designed from the inside out in order to allow us to work through that process. Okay. So yeah, there is no Zoom link. There is no Zoom link. So we're just doing a live, except for Sunday. Only Sunday has a Zoom link. Okay, guys. Hi, guys. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. So when this soul comes into the family lineage, then it is inheriting, or it is entering into a lineage of souls that have incarnated and that are cycling and repeating specific belief systems, patterns, and expressions that are encoded in this ancestral lineage that is brought down through the mitochondria. And it allows us specifically to come into these families to allow these opportunities that we are equipped for. There is no one human that comes into a family, a circle, or a unit that is not meant to be in that family. There is a vibrational resonance with the family. And this is also true for families that don't have just a traditional father-mother, adopted families that are, you know, you're raised by someone else. Whatever network that you are put into in order to experience this process of humanity, is designed by that resonance. And if you have several family members, so for example, the 2 or 3 different families that are connected to your family, this is a greater group of resonance that has come together to experience these same experiences, these same lessons and learning. The universe, the greater organism of the universe and the multiverse in which we participate, learns through all of the experiences of every organism that exists within it. And we belong to that interconnected network. We exist within that interconnected network. And the process of living within this, what we call this matrix, we call it a matrix because we understand that the nature of reality is, in a sense, more holographic. And that holographic nature can be mastered and can be transcended from the user, from the experiencer of the hologram. And we can do that when we begin to no longer live in the cycle of the co-creation of that hologram. But it's not to say that the matrix or the hologram is something negative or something that we want to exit as soon as possible. There sometimes is a misconception thinking that you don't belong here, that you're not part of this, that you came here by mistake, that you want to check out as quick as possible. And that is actually an inversion, complete inversion of everything that has come together through this intelligence to create you, your unique expression, and experience it in this unique way. Your life, the life that you have, the experiences, the families that you have, all of that is designed in a very important way for you to experience that ascension, that moving from the lowest to the highest. And what I have learned through the many hypnotherapy sessions and the many DNA reprogrammings over the years is that the souls that come here with and experience tremendous amounts of trauma are the souls that really have attempted to come into that waking consciousness, departing from the matrix many times, to the point where they have reached very high levels of awareness in many dimensional, higher dimensional planes. Are the moment that we are born, that we come into the incarnation process, we go through a 0 point that allows this negative charge in the body that clears out the memories of many of the many lives that you've had. And we go through cycles in this universe. So the way that we're born into this realm is going to be different, each one of these cycles. Right now, we are coming into a faster vibrational frequency collectively. And what that does is that it allows the resonance of all of the simultaneous aspects of the human organism to be more available to them. So when they're born, they will remember more. They will remember more of their past lives. They will remember, they're more aware of their multidimensional self. And this is also a part of a kind of genetic modification that occurs through all the organisms that exist in this world. And genetic modification is the forming and the molding of the organisms that incarnate in this hologram in order to continue the dormant state, not only of DNA, but of the awareness that they are within these experiential cycles and how to experience in those cycles. There is a specific way to experience these cycles that will assist the ascension and the evolution, the overall growth and learning of you as a soul. And the growth and learning of you as a soul allows for a more pleasant and powerful, empowered experience as a human, in which through the learning of these experiences, you create the transmutation process and fine-tuning the utilization of the human vessel into a conduit of life force, as opposed to being utilized by the hologram unconsciously, which is a cyclical system. We begin to wake up from that dormant state into a state of co-creation. And conscious co-creation is something that requires many of our systems to be interrupted from the hypnosis and from those dormant states that we are so programmed deeply into. The programming of these dormant states are done through social engineering collectively, a psychological disconnect between the psychology, the mind, and the physical body, and the disconnect between the whole self and the etheric self. These fragmentations that occur in the physical body occur through trauma because it forces the human experiencer to look within the physical experience and to be completely engaged and energetically entangled within those experiences. So the more negative frequency we hold within the body, the deeper we become fragmented, because the more fractalized the soul becomes. Trauma is utilized to fractalize the soul. Every time that we have an experience in which we hold on to a aspect of ourselves and what we know, and we are not able to fluidly move through life experiences, anything that bends, it breaks essentially. So we become fractalized in these parts of us, and these fractalizations become points, reference points, and they exist within this simultaneous timeline. This reference point then becomes a point in which the entire organism will refer to as a point of reference, and it keeps going back to those points. Now, in this network of consciousness, these points of trauma exist within our field, immediate field, but also exist in the collective field. So through the Akashic records, through the morphogenetic field in which we exist, this field of points of information is a holographic expression of everything that is encoded within our DNA. So in other words, trauma is recorded in the DNA, and DNA is inherited and it's passed down through the mitochondria many generations. Scientifically, it's been shown 20 generations. Trauma is passed down. And it is not just the collective trauma, it is belief systems, emotional patterns, reaction patterns in the body. And even expressions on our face, muscle memory is passed down. So we are literally reliving in some kind of iterations of our ancestors in these lineages that we incarnate in. And if we continue the dormant state without learning what does it mean to activate DNA? It means to really become aware of what we are printing, what we are encoding, and what we are storing within the internal network system and into the collective network system. It requires a profound level of awareness. And to train that level of awareness, we have to interrupt the dormant state of repetition and comfort. So the alchemical process is really about learning how to fine-tune this instrument into a conduit of life force. And life force is all of the experiences that we're having, that we input output out of this intelligent system. The body is made up of the vortices, the chakra systems, which are the systems of receiving and outputting the data through the physical vessel and through vibrational frequency. So everything that we experience, we are absorbing 360 degrees through the body, and it intelligently organizes itself and stores whatever we pick up from our environment, good, bad experiences, stressful moments, love, all of these experiences are coming in through this system and processing through the chakras, through the endocrines that tells the body what kind of chemicals need to be released in order to experience that moment. And many of these processes are very much mechanical until we understand how they function to come into a state of co-creation. So co-creation is both biochemical, electrical, physical, and etheric process. We believe that co-creation is just, a mental process that, in these concepts of law of attraction, we learn that as long as we put the mental picture, visualize, and put the emotional intention into it, it'll happen. But there are many systems that have to actually come into play and in alignment in order for these manifestations to occur. And the most powerful place for the human to begin to actually come into a creator state, we talked about the different levels of creation. We have to move out of that survival mechanism into a co-creation, which is a conduit of fluid life force. And for that reason, we need to understand how life force functions, how we give and receive. The first way to allow the body to begin to manage life force is to learn how to observe it. So in today's practice, we're going to be doing an exercise in which every end of the day, we are going to become aware of all of the experiences that we've had that day. And these root practices that I'm teaching you at the beginning of this alchemical practice are things that we are all going to do every single day for the next 30 days. It's part of the challenge because we have to rewire how we experience this waking state, this experience in our world. So epigenetically, everything in our environment is assisting in writing what we are, make up what we are. And it's a complex system, of course, it's not as simple as that. But what that means is that by the choices that we make in our everyday life, we can change this organism. And it takes 30 to 60 days to create new habits of behavior. We're going to start off those 60 days by starting off with the 30 days of awareness. Deepening the awareness and deepening how we perceive things is a process of birthing, because right now we have very specific concepts in our mind that we utilize to experience this realm. And we haven't taken the time to really take a look at how we come to those concepts. Concept comes from the word conception, to create, to bring into life, to birth. So in this process of transmutation, one of the most powerful ways that we create as humans is through our thoughts. Thoughts and emotions are something that we need to learn how to become aware of, how we are coming into those thoughts, how we are birthing these emotions and thoughts into this realm, because everything is creating. So first, the awareness is about your everyday moment, coming fully into the present moment. So you are integrated in your body, you are aware of your five senses, and you're in a state of observation. And for those of you that have experienced a lot of trauma in your life, it will feel very uncomfortable to come into a state of observation, because it requires a sort of surrender and a sort of receptivity to everything that is occurring around you, non-judgmental receptivity. In order to train the mind to come into receptivity, it has to know that it's safe in any potential experience. So this process of training ourselves to be safe in any potential experience is the building of trust. And how the human builds trust with the self is by making congruent actions in mind, body, and soul. So our intentions, our actions, our thoughts have to be congruent. This congruent state of expression and existing is actually how we begin to build trust. most of us don't realize how many times a day we betray ourselves. The moment we go back into a dormant state of hypnosis and lack of awareness, there is a disconnect between our actions and our conscious input into those actions. We are falling in to that repetition and reactionary state. When we're in a state of reaction, we are just reacting based on all those points, those reference points that I talked about, that are inherited, learned, and practiced through our everyday life, solidified in the body from the womb until the age of 7, to create specific perceptions and concepts about who you are, how you need to exist, and the safest way to exist in this embodiment. So we have to interrupt those belief systems in order to make actual shifts and changes in the mind, body, and soul. And changing frequency is this process. This is the process of changing frequency. Changing frequency is not just about bringing the body into a state of love immediately, because many of us have very profound belief systems that if we love temporarily, when we're here in this state, we're going to be okay. But the moment we come into danger or a stressful situation, coming into love is very difficult. So we have to train the body and the nervous system to come out of the state of survival into a state of receptivity. And that receptivity is that fluid state. It is that 0 point state of observer that we can come into. And how we come into that observer state is by removing ourselves from the judgment and automatic and reactive categorization of things. The body in a state of survival wants to immediately judge things in order to quickly assess whether something is going to be safe or dangerous to them. So we need to move out of that pattern. And this is very much a nervous system interruption process. So as soon as we begin to notice our thoughts throughout the day, I would like for you to notice when we immediately come into this categorization process and to begin to interrupt it into an observer, a neutral observer. Okay, so that will be one of the first steps of this exercise that we're doing. The second step is that after you begin to practice that observer state throughout your day, at the end of the night, we're going to begin to review the day from that very moment that you went to bed, and you're going to work backwards. Okay, so say you went into bed, you're going to say, okay, I put on my pajamas, I brushed my teeth, I got ready for put my stuff away, I talked to my partner, I was able to wash the dishes, clean the house, finish paperwork, do dinner, exercise, and step by step recounting your entire day. Now, what this process does is incredibly powerful, because what you're doing is you're exercising the part of the mind that was dormant throughout the day, and it'll help you notice how many pockets of missing time did you have throughout your day, which means that were you completely unaware of what you were doing? If you spend most of your day completely disconnected from yourself in a state of survival, more likely and dormant hypnosis, it will be very hard for you to even remember what you did that day. That is the embodiment of the dormant state. When you are in that dormant state, when you can't even remember what you did in your day, you are not creating anything, but you are cycling and you are being created and formed by your environment in a state of sleep. The cells in the body, the DNA, is all processing, repeated and recycling everything that it's known, and it's on auto drive. So vibrational frequency of the human that is on auto drive is very low. And usually when we're in a dormant state, we fall back on the comfort zone, which means the emotions that we most feel comfortable in. For many of us, those emotions are pretty low emotions. Believe it or not, we find a lot of comfort in being in constant states of fear because it's familiar and we know what to do in those states of fear. We become comfortable in states of constant anxiety. The entire body, when you're in this dormant state, can be tight. All the muscles in the body can be very tight. You don't realize it. But that's a result of the lack of self-awareness that causes the body to come in to a state of auto survival. Okay. And you're also going to be repeating emotional patterns that are less conscious, which means reactive, taking a look at the emotions that you know that you require in your toolbox for survival. So a lot of these things can be just automatic smiles, you know, a lot of small talk throughout your day, just unconscious responses, agreeing to things without really wanting to agree to things, just going with the flow, but not in the flow that we mean, going with the flow in regards to just auto drive unconsciousness. So many people in this state are constantly daydreaming. They're not in the present moment at all. They are thinking about the past, the future, and they will likely, through the emotional chemical system of the body, be very addicted to adrenaline rushes or being in a state of stress or anxiety. So they will imagine scenarios of trauma. They will imagine scenarios of accidents. This is how the auto drive functions. So it's a very difficult state in which you are not creating anything. You're not creating anything. Okay. So what we want to do is to interrupt those dormant automatic states and come into a co-creation. The co-creation means that you're aware of your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and your environment. This level of awareness allows you to begin to actually choose how you are responding to your experiences, the chemicals that you are allowing to flow through the body, the triggering in the body, and how you are flowing, giving and receiving and transmuting life force. Are you a conduit for life force? When we are in dormant state, our source cord, the light of source that moves to the center of the body, is incredibly very thin because there is no channel, there is no conduit. The processes in the body are sluggish. The chakras are sleeping. Most of them are dormant and stagnant in the back of the body. The front of the body, they're not really moving as much. So all of this occurs as a result of this dormant unconscious state. So let's talk about how to co-create now. Okay, so this is the practice that we're going to do every single day for the next 30 days. Come into a state of awareness, wake yourself up throughout the day. Okay, don't fall asleep. Every time you fall asleep, just become aware, connect with yourself, notice where you are. If you have to tell yourself to broaden your perspective, because the more perspectives we have, the more we're tuning in to multidimensional awareness. So we want to begin to move our perspective from this dormant little state into a way of looking at yourself 360 degrees at all time. That's the level of awareness, and it has to be inside out. It's this multidimensional perspective, omnipresence that you have. You're aware of yourself in your space. Where are you? If you have to tell yourself, I'm in my body, I'm sitting in a chair, I'm in this office, I'm in this city, I'm in this state, I'm in this country. Become aware of the people that are around you. That's how much your mind has to begin to expand. When you do that, you're literally exercising muscles of the memory in your body, of the etheric field that encodes and processes the DNA system of memory. That's really huge. You're beginning to go to the writing system, and you're interrupting the dormant state into a state of awareness. And from that point on, the writing system of DNA begins to shift tremendously. because there's an influx of life force in a state of presence that begins to shift how the body is recording and experiencing that present moment. So as you sit in these states of awareness and locate yourself, this I call locating yourself, you will begin to become aware of emotions as well. Now, this is the part that becomes overwhelming for a lot of people. Okay. When people begin to become aware of their emotions, sometimes they begin to panic because now they have to be aware of emotions that they don't know how to manage. Okay. And this is the part that most people get to this part and then they're like, too hard, not really sure how to do this. And they go right back into the state of unconsciousness. So in emotions, how to handle emotions that you now become aware of is by bringing yourself back into the neutral observer. We are changing from being in resonance with dualistic perceptions into a universal, multidimensional perspective. That means that there is no judgment, there is no categorization of things. We are receptive to all possibilities. And that training in the body will be a way of observing your environment and experiencing in actual flow. Actual flow is not dormant and conscious going along with what other people do. Being in flow means that you're a conscious conduit of life force through the body. And the transmutation process of that is waking up every cell in the body to participate in the existence and experiences that you're having. It's a whole different way of existing. So as you feel strong emotions, you are in a receptive observer state where you won't judge what you're feeling or what you're experiencing external to you. This will train the body. It immediately brings the body into a self-regulating system. We come out of survival. So you will notice that your stomach muscles will begin to become more calm. So more loose, more soft, because otherwise they're very tense and tight. You will notice that the root chakra will begin to gently come into balance, the sacral, because you're not going to be in survival. So to every thought form, the body adjusts this system. Your chakras are constantly moving, contracting, and expanding depending on where your thoughts and emotions are. So the more awareness you have of your body, since we are practitioners of deep energetic work, you will already have known how to control your chakras. We've been working on that for a long time together here. So as you adjust your thoughts and your emotions, the chakras will either expand or contract. And the idea in the acronym GPAC, grounding, protecting, aligning, co-creating, in aligning, we're learning how to bring the chakras with our intention into a balanced state, which is about 6 inches in the body, the root, sacral, solar. But this automatically occurs when you come into a receptive observer state, okay? Over periods of time that you're training your body, there is healing that has to happen, because before you interrupt those systems, the lack of awareness will create stagnation in your chakras to the point where the root chakra is not even moving. Some of it's closed, stagnant, it's not going anywhere. So this awareness will help you begin to unpack some of that stagnation, because anyone in a state of receptive observer is an open channel of life force to begin to move through the body. And essentially, what we're going to learn how to do is to begin to cycle life force through the body in a fluid state. And we'll talk about that later. But there is a way that energy moves through the body. Many of you ask me what directions chakras need to move. We're going to learn about how the energy moves through these systems naturally. But we're looking at the psychological, emotional, energetic part of it. We need to look at inside out. Okay. So the third part of this receptive self-awareness is that at the end of the day, as you begin to review your day, you're going to do so without any judgment. But what this exercise will allow you to do on a daily basis is also begin to train you into lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming. Because as you heighten your awareness and receptive state. When you go into dream state and you begin to leave the body and travel out of body experiences, you will have memorized coming into the body. And therefore, when you leave the physical body, this memory will have affected the etheric body. Okay, because we're interrupting the etheric system. The DNA writing system of the body is very much physical and etheric. And it's in the etheric layer that we are storing the memories in the collective. It's the morphogenetic field, it's the Akashic record of all the ancestral memories of the matrix, of the cyclical patterns of trauma and experiences that are encoded in the human for them to access. So as you interrupt those processes, you also begin to wake up consciousness in your dream state. Okay, so the time when you go into sleep. So this is how we will begin to train. And we will talk about lucid dreaming later on in this challenge, because it'll be a natural side effect of everything that we're doing. Okay, so in today's practice, we're going to look at yesterday, whatever you did yesterday. So I want you to get really comfortable. It's going to be very simple. You don't need to do any fancy meditative position or anything. Just wherever you are, just close your eyes, and you're going to come into awareness of what you did last night. We're going to use yesterday as an example. Okay, what did you do last night as you were going to bed? Okay, just go ahead and see yourself now tracing back from the moment you went into bed, leading up to the moment going into bed. What did you do? Going back now through your day, hour by hour. And I want you to notice the moments of your day that you begin to check out. As you watch yourself, as if you're watching a movie of yourself, you begin to notice what you're doing, why you're doing things, how you are doing things. And there's a tendency to want to judge them. So I want you once again to come into that receptive observer. Breathing. And as you go through your day, going back, notice people you've interacted with, notice your reactions to them, how you connect with them. Breathing deeply, just observing. You'll notice that you might also be able to see yourself as if you are looking from the outside in to your body. Okay, as if you're watching a movie of yourself, whatever it is that you're doing. Just watch yourself. If emotions begin to arise as you see yourself, this is judgment. So just gently breathe and bring yourself into neutral observation. This will make this exercise more comfortable, and it'll also train the body to come into this receptive, neutral observer. Notice the habits that you see. What are the habits that you have? You may also observe why you do things. Your intentions behind your actions. Noticing how you interact with others, as well as noticing others' interactions with us. Oftentimes you discover a lot, you learn a lot about yourself, you learn a lot about the other. And with practice, you will begin to develop a kind of vision that allows you to remote view these circumstances. Your perspective, you'll notice that you were actually recording much more of an experience than you are conscious of. Your memory is so, your awareness is so large around you. It's not just what you're seeing through your senses, through your eyes, but these senses extend out into the field that allow you to have a much broader perspective of what you're experiencing. Just notice that. Do you avoid eye contact with others? Do you tend to contract or expand? Are you on your phone most of the time, disconnected from the outside world, trying to escape, trying to hide? If you're at work, are you aware of your body? Just observing, learning about yourself. Sometimes you'll notice that you had strong emotions that you weren't aware of. You'll observe that actually your body responded in a powerful way. Just watch that. Observing every moment of yesterday. If you come across moments that you don't remember what you did, just kind of observe what the last time being aware was before that moment. And what happened? At what point did you check out your awareness? Just observe that. What caused you to check out in awareness? Some of you might find that something triggered an emotion, and when that emotion came up, you just kind of checked out. It could be a feeling of overwhelm. It could be a feeling of stress. Those are usually the times in which we really mostly lose our sense of awareness. So I want you to notice how aware you are of your body. Okay, how much awareness is in the entire body, front and back, all around you. How many times a day do you check into your back? How many times a day are you aware of your legs, your feet, your body? Just notice that, because all of that is part of your state of awareness. It'll also help you understand what parts of your body are dormant and where you store illness in the body. Very good. So as you have reviewed your entire day, going back into the beginning of yesterday, I want you to just notice, what have you learned about yourself? Okay, you can put it in the chat, share with me what you have discovered, see if you have observed something you weren't aware of. And I want you to meditate on this today, just so you begin to observe some of the patterns that we are used to just kind of defaulting to, and how that changes the moments you come into awareness. Okay. So this exercise is actually an incredibly powerful foundational exercise for alchemy, the alchemization of our thoughts, the alchemization and the awareness of the ability to control what we are co-creating. So we're going to do this practice every single day for the next 30 days. It'll be one of the prompts that you will check off your list on the challenge on the website. So when you log into the website in the challenge, you will have a calendar of all the days, all the events. It'll have the lessons that are included in this series, and also prompts that will help you complete exercises that support that. And I'll try to put as much information as I can in there. But remember that this training is training for many things: the awareness of the body, the activation of your ability to co-create, and your ability to manifest, and also lucid dream. So these four main things are the areas that we're targeting with this one exercise. Okay, so it's very important. I don't want you to miss a single day, okay? And hold yourself accountable to that, because you will see the real transformation at the end of the 30 days if you continue this. So let's talk really quickly about co-creation now, okay? How do we tune in to the co-creation process? Now that you discovered a little bit about yourself and how you are living your life now, you'll notice that many of these experiences throughout your past 24 hours have been very unconscious for most of the time, right? And so when we are in states of unawareness, again, we're repeating cyclical patterns. The difference would be to co-create. And how we co-create essentially wants to be something completely different. This is that birthing, this conversation about concepts, conceiving, okay, bringing something into life. So we essentially are bringing ourselves into life through the process of co-creation. And it is a journey, and it is a road of absolute all unknowns. Okay, so we have to be able to become friends with the unknown in such a way that we are receptive to any possible experience to happen. In this holographic experience, we experience a lot of very beautiful, amazing things that sometimes we can't even explain. But many of us, we don't have the opportunity to experience or even see or acknowledge them until we're in a state of connection with the earth. Part of the transmutation process is to learn how to become one with this organism of the earth that we're in, connecting with the earth in such a way that allows the transmutation of cosmic energies into the physical. And that's done through the physical body. So grounding is going to be a very important process for you as well. But channeling this awareness into the physical body allows you to activate the part of the crown that is a two-part system. The eighth chakra is the center point in which the non-physical comes into the physical. Okay, so there's the vortex of the non-physical in which it exists within our entire fields of our body, the layers and dimensions of our body are merging with lower density frequencies into the lower bodies. Okay, so at that point in the eighth dimensional plane, if we understand how to work with that chakra, we can begin to manifest and change what we're experiencing in the lower density realms, which is the physical experience. So but how do we do that? And how do we know what we want to experience? That's the thing. So this is where the element of being friends with the unknown comes in. We are creating ourselves. And the process of creation of the self is actually the process of the no self. Okay. You create yourself through the process of no self. And you come to the process of no self by knowing the self. We need to become aware of who we are right now by these exercises of observation to understand how we have come to our perceptions, how we have come to our belief systems, and the processes that we repeat. Do we agree with them? Are they in alignment with our highest understanding, with these values, higher values of existing. And so for the higher values of existing, we have to learn what it means to be in a state of balance and connection with nature, all that is divine, the natural expressions of your existence. Those are the higher functioning processes of the human experience. So being in a state of intuitive action, fluid in that state, creating and manifesting in our highest expression. And the highest expression of creation is not from the individual self-serving ego self that is a product of all of this programming and the creation of personalities that create very limited perceptions of yourself and the whole. But the destruction of those systems, personalities, programs, even moral systems that we adopt without really understanding what they are, create who we are, and they create limitation in your ability to actually create the true self. So all these have to be dissolved, and they will be dissolved through the work that you do. And what you'll find at the end is that you're none of those things. You're none of those programs. You're none of those ideas. You're not even the personalities that you have for the most part. So when you come to this no self, this is the part that becomes scary because you think, okay, well, what are you then? And in this no self is infinite potential. So the beauty of coming into the no self is infinite potential. You can create anything. And right now we don't know how to create because the way that we create is based on survival and repeated knowns. Okay, so we must train the mind to go beyond the matrix thinking into a universal collective co-creation. And this process in the initiation of the human into the higher functioning human is the ability to begin to transcend the physical matrix perspective into a multidimensional perspective, where you have the ability to experience beings as well. You're going to encounter angelic beings, interdimensional beings in your experiences now, because you're aware of something beyond just a physical experience. So this is an immediate shift in your vibrational frequency. So your highest expression is going to be everything that you have been and have now the potential of becoming. And that is a vibrational frequency that you emit in this no self that is evolving. And that vibrational frequency is a color of your highest expression. When you utilize this color frequency, apply it to the body from the crown, you are overriding all of the programming and replacing it with the highest potential, infinite potential. And that allows automatic readjustment of the organism to heal and shift into a way that it can relate with its environment in a co-creative manner. So moving out of the cyclical patterns of karmic reincarnation, karmic repetitive patterns encoded in DNA that are counter-creative. Okay, so the idea is to shift from counter-creation into creation. So you're going to activate the 8th and you're going to send that color down to the 7th. The 7th chakra is the center of manifestation and embodiment of this higher self. So as you enter, the 7th begins to the fragmentation process. Okay, the 8th is the unification of the non-physical into the physical, and the 7th begins to fragment and organize that into the compartmentalized areas of the human experience. So you're going to visualize the 8th like a pizza or like a pie chart with different sections, all which represent the major areas of your life, of your human experience. It can be career, relationships, family, your children, intimacy, sexual energy, money, co-creation, all the exchange energies in this world. Okay. And health, very important, you know, the state of the health of your body. And more importantly, your purpose. or what your soul needs to learn in this experience, okay, in order for it to function in its highest potential. So this is the intention that we now want to put at the back of every conscious moment. And it's a different way of coming into this infinite potential in a way that is healing and evolutionary for the body. It is the ascension process that you are actively learning how to transmute lower thought forms, emotions, patterns of behavior into higher emotions, patterns, and thought forms of behavior. This is the process. So this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to have you guys close your eyes, and we're going to go into reading state. Go ahead and close the root chakra or shrink it down to the size of a dime. Okay, go into the sacral chakra. Go ahead and visualize shrinking that chakra down to the size of a dime. You guys are doing great. Go into the solar plexus. Shrinking it down to the size of a dime. Okay, going up into the heart. And you're going to expand that heart front and back, opening the center of unconditional love and coherence. You're going to go up into the throat. Expand the throat chakra, front and back, opening the center of communication and expression and balance of dualistic nature, feminine and masculine. You're going to go up into your third eye. Go ahead and visualize expanding that third eye, opening the center of intuition. Okay, you are now in reading state, or you have activated your psychic body. So now that you're here, I want you to see a color that represents your highest vibrational frequency. Go ahead and see that now. The first color that comes up is your intuition. Okay, you're going to take this color up into the crown. And the crown is going to look like a pie chart. Go ahead and visualize filling that crown chakra with that color in the eighth. Activate the eighth chakra. Okay, activate. Send that down now as you activated your eighth, expanding the eighth with this color. You're going to channel it down into the seventh chakra. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Okay. So as you channel that into the seventh chakra looks like a pie chart. Go ahead and channel that color into all the areas of your life, allowing you to shift from these cyclical unconscious states into states of co-creation, your highest potential co-creator state. And as you can see, these are going to affect all the chakras. They're going to readjust the chakras as well. So go ahead and activate that. Excellent. Okay, you're gonna bring yourself back into the room. And this is the state of awareness that you're going to be in today. Okay. So 2 exercises today that are super important, super powerful, super protective, super productive. Um, every night before you go to sleep, you're going to review your entire day from the moment you got up until that moment of going to sleep. I want you to be very, very detailed in how you are reviewing yourself, watching yourself as if you're watching a movie of yourself. And you're also going to learn how to activate your crown, your 8th and 7th. And we're going to go deeper into these each practices throughout this challenge. But I would like for you to utilize this tool to begin to shift in how you're co-creating. And I want you to share how you experience this shift. Okay. The challenge that we have, let me open up that challenge just so I can give you just a tiny little tour about how that works. Hopefully it'll be easy for me to do this for you here. For those of you that haven't signed up yet or want to sign up yet, just so you know how it's going to function, this is my website. You can go to bariameditation.com or geraldineorosco.com. And you're going to go under courses. You're going to want to log in, and it's under challenges. So when you go to challenges, are you guys seeing the right screen? Let me make sure you guys are seeing the right screen. What's this? Yeah, you are. Okay. So it's going to be under challenges, and under challenges, it's going to say challenges and courses. It's right here, 30-day alchemical transformation challenge. You're going to click view, and it'll take you here. Once you're logged in, if you're not logged in, it'll ask you to either create an account or log in. We have all the calendar overview of all the days that we're going to be working together, as well as these practical checklists that you can do. So there's Saturday, here's Sunday. So yesterday, for example, we talked about using the primordial violet light to heal. You're going to see the replay of the video that we did. So this video will be up there right now. And you'll also see some information about things that we talked about, questions that were asked, and practices. There's also going to be an exercise here. This is a mindfulness check for yesterday. And in accessing the violet light, how to actually go into that practice, okay? At the base of this, there's also going to be the slides from the presentation. So you can feel free to review them and use them for your own practices. Yesterday, we talked about the organs and how life force channels to heal them. So today, you will see here these slides that allow you to understand a little bit deeper the co-creation process. And you'll also see instructions on how to do, uh, you know, this co-creation process, and also the self-review process that we just talked about right now. There's going to be a questionnaire at the end. Go ahead and write out what you did. This is mostly for you to just kind of sit with yourself and understand, you know, how this process is helping you. But I invite you to go ahead and check that out. And as always, it's such a pleasure to be here with you. I'm going to go into the chat here to see if I have any questions. And I'm going to just connect with you guys in the chat a little bit. How's everybody doing today? Happy Monday. Cedric, hello. So good to see you. Cedric, I think I always say your name wrong. Brown Dwarf, hello. Gabriel, great to see you. Kira, Grace, Angela, John, so great to see you. There is no live Zoom. This is only going to be on the live here, except for Sundays. If you join Self-Love Sundays, you can participate on the Zoom. So great to see you. There is no Zoom link. I'll write that into the challenge so you're clear about that. All right, great. And yes, you can catch the replay. So any of you that can't join me for this at noon, I know you guys are working, you can catch the replay. Hello, Jay Zen, great to see you. Kevin Parkinson's, can we please get the Zoom link emailed? No, there is no Zoom link. Kevin, it's going to be just through the live, okay? Sorry for the misinformation, y'all, that's okay. You to belong. Kevin, could there be a reason why I have never really felt resonance with my family? Yes, I mean, Yes, and this is the part that we haven't gotten to actually, Jay, what is it, Kevin? Because even though we're in resonance with the higher order, there's a higher order and a higher logic, higher intelligence to why we have been brought into the family, which is in order to assist your soul in the transmutation process of the lower into the higher. So, whatever your lower is, all the traumas and experiences that you've had with your family, to transmute them into the highest potential learning experience, to be able to transcend that trauma, essentially. That is what you have designed this experience to be for you, and what the greater multiverse is learning through you. Now, why we feel that we don't have resonance, because every new generation that incarnates into this realm is not only encoded through the DNA, but also through the collective organism through vibrational frequency, is encoded with a higher resonance frequency than the family before, than the ancestors before. Every new generation matches the level of collective vibrational frequency that we exist in. And right now, as in always, we're moving through spiral forms in which we are reaching higher octaves, higher vibrational ranges of frequency every spiral that we do as a multiverse. And that is fractalized in that ascension. That's why ascension is not like something that we have to aim for. We are naturally ascending as part of participating in this multiverse and its natural movement, because everything is always moving up. Everything is shifting, moving faster in a sense, relatively to where we're at. And the faster movement of vibrational frequency means higher frequency, higher access to more DNA. But every incarnation is going to be higher frequency than the one before. And we see those patterns. We see the patterns very clearly in how our history, our world history, as it's been taught to us, but as we see also that there is always cycles in which civilizations have reached the highest points, and then they tend to drop back down again. Well, this is true for the existence of all the organisms on this earth, the cycles of the planet, cycles of nature, cycles of the body, life and death reaching highest point to the death that we also experience in our spiritual evolution. So in your life, coming into this family, you're encoded with everything, all the tools, all the awareness, all the DNA, all the opportunities of that infinite potential to pull forward this ancestral lineage into something different. And that's the transmutation process. You're transmuting your lineage from low through your DNA into high. So whatever you do to break the patterns of repetition in dormant state will activate your DNA and allow you to experience through the body. So when we die, it's not just a matter of dying with highest vibrational frequency. It's having lived the life fully, reached the lowest vibrational frequency, and transmuted that to the highest. That's the expression of an actual productive human experience. It's not checking out as quick as possible or separating yourself from the low and ascending. That doesn't exist. If you do this, there's no quick fix. You have to go into the deepest shadows and transmute into the highest. And that way, when you reach the moment of death, your vibrational frequency, which will have reached to such a high point that it's interconnected with higher dimensional planes. And through your DNA, you now have the opportunity to experience. You are offering to yourself through your work the ability to explore higher dimensional expressions of yourself in or out of this dualistic experience. So yeah, thank you for that question. Mila Rose, I just got out of a Zoom family therapy, so weird. And when it ended, this stream popped up with even more, without even opening YouTube. Oh, well, maybe you were meant to be here then, Mila. I created every obstacle so you can recognize yourself as everything. Yeah. My three sisters and I definitely all came in together. Yep. Hi, Candy. Welcome. Angie, so good to see you. Jay Zen, you are the network of becoming without the dream. Yep. Is it possible to align oneself wholly and totally no matter what the environment or life situation is currently? Yes, absolutely. That's the whole transmutation process. That's the initiation process of becoming an alchemist. If you can transcend any environment, because remember that the environment is a holographic projection of everything we haven't transcended. So, and I know this for a fact, like I've experienced this in the person. When I went through that alchemization process, my career changed overnight many times until I got to where doing what I love, which is this. My relationships changed. I didn't even need to try. Okay. And there wasn't as much uh, resistance to those changes. It was just an agreement and understanding. Um, the location of where I lived changed. Okay, so we go through these cycles of transformation, and that's how you understand that we really do have a lot of power to begin to shift what we experience, but we need to understand how to do that. Okay, so alignment is the first step. Um, the first step is awareness and presence. You need to understand what you're aligning with and what you're no longer aligning with, because that's actually the biggest trap, is that you begin to align your body, you do the work, and you begin to discover parts of you that aren't congruent anymore, and it becomes very overwhelming. And this process of ascension and alchemical transformation, you have to be receptive and opening to anything changing. So even relationships, I see this all the time. People wake up, they go through this ascension process, and then they realize that they really can't really resonate with their partner anymore. And they have to have a separation. And people get stuck in that point. Sometimes they choose to stay in the relationship instead of continue this process. And unfortunately, what happens is that they come back to the resonance of the partner, which the resonance of the partner is repeating trauma. And so now both are going to be repeating trauma again. So it's not about leaving or necessarily changing, but it's about consciously working outside of those patterns. And when we start working outside of those patterns, lots of comfort zones are going to be kind of shifted. Okay. So you have to be kind of ready for that, and you have to be open and receptive to that work. Maria, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for that super chat. You guys, that really means a lot to me. I do these challenges for free, but it really helps me a lot when I get, these super chats. It really is very kind of you. And Marie had, just as a segue, to talk about the relationship element. Um, what causes us suffering is a limited perspective. Okay, what causes us suffering is that our vision of what we're experiencing in this present moment is only being seen through a very limited view, very limited glasses. Okay. And so in order to understand why things occur to us and why changes happen in our life, we have to kind of come into absolute awareness of our truth and the truth of what existed. So as in the relationships, especially, reviewing our participation with absolute authenticity is essential. And what we might find is that many times we ourselves lie to ourselves about many things, what we know about ourselves, what we know about others, and we kind of just go with the flow. Sometimes we deny our intuition, which had already told us about these relationships and how they're going to be. And we ignore it and we just continue in the relationship. So it's really important to take a look at that. And truth will set you free. This quote is incredibly true, because when we look at truth, we understand natural order and balance. And if the relationships that we were in didn't maintain us in a state of balance, vitality, wellness, and co-creation, then it's by divine order that we separate from these relationships in order to open space for the highest well-being of your organism. And this is the most compassionate part of the higher logic of this intuitive system, that there's always the law of accident that wakes you up out of dormant states, whether it's through some traumatic situation or some greater movements of the world that force these organisms to wake up because they need to come into alignment with the next vibrational higher point that we are all moving into. It's just us that fall asleep, and the rest of this system is evolving. So we have to move with it. Otherwise, it shakes up its organisms in order to help them move forward. Otherwise, they dissolve, they fall out of existence, resonance with this dimension. So that being said, please work with really understanding your truth and the greater truth of these unions, in really taking a sobering look at, the why things happen the way they did, who we are, and our role in that. And it will allow you to begin to feel a lot of compassion for yourself and the other. Okay. My boyfriend always says that I could ask him if there's a trigger on his. Oh, my boyfriend always says yes. I could ask him if there's a tiger on his head, and he will just stare off and nod yes. Very unconscious. Oh, okay, Mila. We are like the rose and stronger. Yes, we are, my love. Yeah. So incredibly grateful to be here now, feeling called out in a great way. Thank you, Geraldine. Thank you so much. Silver Soul. Jane Peterson, thank you so much for joining us from the UK. Yay. RR2, so great to see you. Kevin, thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Angela, Yannick, Gary, Jamal Cooper. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. How do I get to join the live meeting? There is no live meeting. It's only on Sundays that you can join Self-Love Sundays. If you want to get that Zoom link, just go ahead and register for Self-Love Sundays, and you'll be able to get the Zoom link to join our challenge. My children spent the weekend with their father. I spent the whole day yesterday with my cat and took care of others. She didn't leave my side. That's wonderful. All right, guys. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining me. It's been such an honor to be here. It's so great to hear your comments and how you experience this. Okay, here's a question. Can we do that for our children that are already here and for grandchildren coming in? Pamela, please expand that question tomorrow. Okay. You guys, thank you so much for that super chat, Kevin. I really appreciate that. Shiva dog squeezing a big red heart. That's so cute. Seal Bond, thank you so much for that super chat. It's so generous. Profound gratitude for all you do in teachings. Thank you very much, guys. I really am grateful for that. Judith from Rome, thank you so much for joining me. Geraldine, you are the best mentor. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Juan, Kimberly, Grace, Marija. Have an amazing day. Do the homework, and I'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Bye-bye.